We're live up in this piece.
Hello, I'm Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 226. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
What's up, guys?
You got Philip Dassing.
What's going on?
Lee Tark.
Yo.
And newcomer, David Dull.
Good evening.
Good evening, David. This is your first time on the podcast.
I believe so.
Yeah, this is, and they say you never forget your first time, so we're going to make this memorable.
Fantastic. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, so you came to us by way of Phil.
That's right.
Yeah. So you guys go like way back?
Yeah.
No. Sure. Yeah, sure. You know, back in elementary school.
Microphone.
Oh, microphone.
Yeah.
Back in elementary school, Philip and I used to kick it. No, actually, we just connected online, I guess, about a week ago. But I did find out that we had run across each other when we met with Marilyn Mosby at the Baltimore City Libertarian monthly meeting, and I was like, "Oh my God, I know that guy." So yeah, it's funny how you meet people and then you meet people.
So
Right.
so you're active in the local Baltimore LP?
Yes, I'm the vice chair of the Anne Arundel County Libertarian Subcommittee, and I'm also on the exec board for the Libertarian Party of Maryland.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been involved with the party for?
Well, shoot, I started 2011. I got involved in the Ron Paul campaign. I spent 4 years trying to change it from the inside, which was a horrible idea. Don't ever do that. And then 2016, I saw two things. I saw the masses go for Trump, which scared the crap out of me. And then I also saw within the party apparatus.
I mean, but really though, I got to stop you there.
I was just going to say that.
Is Trump really that much scarier than Hillary Clinton?
No, Trump is much scarier than all the other candidates. At least you could see the consistency with the establishment where, okay, yeah, they're bad guys, but like, they have an agenda and they kind of stick to it. This was like, this guy is off the chain. Like, you have no idea where he's going to go from one day to the next.
Yeah, he's not predictable. He's definitely not principled.
Yeah.
And
the potty mouth, it's got to go.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
it's one thing for us, but we're us peons.
Well, dude, the potty mouth has at least like been entertaining. It's. I feel like now the office of the president is finally receiving the amount of respect that it deserves.
Yeah, if only that were true. Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I'm in Maryland, so I mean, it's a Democratic state. I'm seeing a lot of hate on the president, and it's like
right.
I enjoy that. It's like the president should be hated. We're coming off of like 8 years of constantly filleting the president in this neck of the woods.
Well, you look at the complete reversal with our governor. He's a Republican, right, and a Democrat state, and yet everybody seems to love Hogan. I mean, he's a nice guy. I've met him in person. He's personable. He treats you with respect. He works with people across the aisle. He's not necessarily like the best thing. He's not a libertarian by any means, stretch of the means. He's a moderate Republican. I don't know where you would put him.
I call him an asshole.
I
call him an asshole. He put the red flag laws into play.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's
the Congress did. I mean, the legislature did, and then he signed it. He didn't.
He signed it. He allowed it to happen. He
Yeah,
signed it. He gave it his stamp of approval.
It's true.
And that's confiscating guns without due process.
It's true.
And then it's actually resulted in, I believe, at least one or two deaths.
At least one death was 2 miles from my house, and unfortunately, I had a Facebook ban at the time for 30 days, so I wasn't able to complain about it online. But yeah, it was right around the corner from my house. The first death for attempted to confiscate firearms since 1775.
Dude, Facebook jail, homie, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. You
3 times.
You must be good peeps, dude.
Yeah.
3 times. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to cut back.
How many have you been banned for?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I don't count anymore. I don't know. Who knows? Like I have an alternative account because I get thrown in Facebook jail so much. So, but yeah, that's a thing. Facebook jail. And then
I think Trump would work across the aisle if like the Trump derangement syndrome wasn't so strong. I think out of anybody, he wouldn't. Whatever like weird thing he's wants to do that week that's not predictable or might be offensive, like I think if someone was on board with him, he'd be like, all right, cool, come out.
And like, what sucks? It's like I feel like so many people are so hard on Trump, whereas like anytime you're not hard on Trump, people are like, OMG, you're a Trumper. And it's like, no, I didn't vote for the guy. I will not vote for him in 2020. But at the same time, you've got people saying, well, everybody who voted for Trump is a racist. It's like, no, motherfucker. I know, like, black people. I know, like, different minorities that have voted for Trump. I know, like, lifelong Democrats that have voted for Trump. Yeah. It's just kind of like, I think people were just, like, sick of business as usual, right? And Hillary Clinton was just the epitome of business as usual. And they were just so sick of it to the point where it's like they would elect, like, a reality TV star,
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you might have seen, I think Reason TV came out with a short segment on, like, don't make me support Trump or don't make me defend Trump. And it's like these people like saying, oh, my God, he's so horrible. I was like, well, he didn't actually say that. Like, oh, my God, you're a Trump supporter. It's like, no, I'm just, like, being an adult and having a rational conversation about the man.
Well, I mean, but by my estimation, Hillary Clinton was speaking like she wanted to go to war with Russia right away. Mm-hmm. She was also everybody,
even though she sold them uranium.
And then also, North Korea as well. And then it seemed like the Democrats were hating on him for, some sort of diplomacy instead of war, with North Korea. And then, there was the whole, like, Iran thing. Like, any other president, I couldn't imagine them not bombing Iran after them shooting down our drone. I don't even like to say our drone because it's like, I didn't want that. I didn't sign off on that. I didn't sign off on that drone like Hogan signed off on the red flag laws.
Hashtag not my drone.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like when that drone was shot down, right? I was thinking, oh, shit.
By our Marines.
I'm sorry?
The drone was shot down by our Marines, apparently.
So our drone was shot down by us, you're saying?
That's what Iran's saying.
I believe that's a story that's coming out on the back channels. Is that like there were Marines on the ship and they thought that like they were being attacked, so they shot the drone down.
Well, honestly, dude, the way the war machine works and the way there are people that gain so much off of war, I wouldn't be surprised if it was shot down by somebody on our side.
Right. CIA.
I mean, before, right? I have no idea. I mean, all sorts of crazy shit's happened.
Yeah, Like, I mean, okay, Pat Tillman, he played for the Arizona Cardinals back, like the turn around the 2000 or whatever, and he joined the military, left his football career, and he's like the total boomer, MAGA, hero in their eyes, but they don't. And he died, serving his country or whatever. But they don't tell you that he was killed by his own troops.
Friendly fire.
Yeah,
they tell you that, but they don't tell you the fact that while he was there, he realized how fucked up it was.
Yeah,
and was basically
disheartened.
Basically protesting it while he was in it, and then he just happened to get shot by his own people. Wow. Suspicious, to say the least.
Conspiracy.
But yeah, they hold him up as some
the
ultimate sacrifice. When in reality, I mean, he did make the ultimate sacrifice, but it was basically to try and stop the war.
Yeah.
Rather than
what does happen.
What I don't get about Trump, he appointed Jeff Sessions, who's this like outspoken drug warrior, right? And he even said that he was going to crack down on marijuana multiple times, I believe, but. It just has to be that Trump has actually just held him back. I would think, because it seems like if he had his way, he would be in like every state that has it legalized and busting dispensaries.
Yep. Well, I know we're gonna talk on Bolton a little bit later, but I was talking earlier about.
That's another one. So it's like with Bolton, he's obviously a huge warmonger,
right.
But Trump's actually like held him at bay. So right. I don't get. Like, why would he appoint these people and not let them do the horrible things that they say they're going to do?
Well, it's an interesting concept. Like, if you think about it, like you set up all these guys as like the bad cop, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to go in there and they say like, you better be careful. Like, we're going to do all this horrible stuff to you. And then Trump goes in like, like it's okay. I'll play the good cop. And I'm like, oh, well, we can work something out, right? So you scare the crap out of Iran, thinking like, oh my God, we're going to get bombed. And then Trump comes in and says, hey, well, maybe I can come over there and we can do some sort of Kim Jong Un style conversation. We can work on things. Yeah, the 9D chess. Is that what we're up to by now? 9D chess,
underwater backgammon.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I think Trump's greatest act of 4D chess was probably selecting Mike Pence to be his VP.
Yeah, I saw your post about this today.
Yeah, you would have to be just totally fucking insane to want to impeach Trump and usher in President Pence.
Well, Reagan did the same thing. He beat the establishment in the Republican primary back in '80, and then so the establishment was like, all right, well, okay, great, you can do your grassroots, cut taxes and streamline the budget, whatever you want. Well, he didn't, but whatever. All these grandiose things that he wanted to do, but you're going to have Bush as your VP.
Yeah, Mr. CIA himself.
Yeah. So I mean, this is another reason why I left the Republican Party. Like, these are the deals that you have to make. Like, okay, well, all right, so you won the primary, or oh, you cute little grassroots guy, now you have a spot, but like you're still gonna have to toe the line, or we're gonna primary you out next time, stuff like that.
Yeah, but and then with Trump too, there are things that I absolutely hate. Of course, he's just like every other president. He's still increasing military spending. And then this wall stuff is just it's just fucking ridiculous.
The wall that's never going to get built.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I didn't think it was ever going to get built, but at the same time, I didn't think Donald Trump was ever going to be president.
Well, didn't they say it just came out this week? It might have been something we forgot, but they approved like $2 billion, or whatever he can use from the military budget for the wall. Judge approved that. Which, but I still don't think it's going to get built. I think he just likes to say it, so all his people who are, what are they, magatards, or I guess what they're calling, like they can just be like, oh my God, he's going to build the wall, root deal, like hell yeah, and it's never going to happen. It's just one of those things like promises. I mean, every politician makes them, and they never really. Well, I mean,
how long would it take to construct something like that?
I would say more than 4 years.
Right. So he's got to somehow make it ironclad where no one can come in after he's potentially gone and then rip it down. But I guess they could say, well, he tried.
Annoying. Yeah, I know. It's so annoying.
So, anyways,
yeah.
I think you had cut off David before we went down this rabbit hole.
Oh,
I think he was saying something, but he probably doesn't remember at this point.
Okay, Dave. So, now I want to go from here, and I want to take this to. You want to talk about LP logistics. You want to talk about. So you have this plan for everybody to follow to get the best course of. What do you think? What do you think about this?
Well, problem I see right now is this somehow, despite the fact that we got 3% last year, which was 3 times as much as we got the election before.
Yeah, I mean,
and we haven't gotten 1% before that for I don't know how many decades, since I think it was Anthony Brown. So despite these recent successes, we really have a lack of grassroots effort on the ground level. Where we don't have a lot of people showing up.
I don't know if Johnson was really a success. I feel like Trump was like so bad that he probably should have gotten higher.
Yeah, we're not really sure whether.
With that being said, I supported Johnson. Right. Out of all the guys running, I felt like he was the best option, and I do like Johnson. I think the worst part about Johnson in 2016 was his pick of Bill Weld. For me.
Oh my God!
Well, I mean, I
Bill
think.
Weld? It's terrible. Bill Weld just released a thing for his campaign saying, "I'm Bill Weld. I'm Republican. I'm going to primary Trump," and he just goes off about like, we need to protect the environment and we need to have a racist president. It was just awful. I can't believe that they thought.
It sounds like a stunning act of bravery to me, Phil.
So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Continue.
Yes, much brave. Yeah, poor Weld. Bless his heart for trying, I guess. I mean, that's
fuck that dude.
No, I love it. I mean, let him run. Let him see what he can do. I mean, shake things up, but he's not going to win. There's not a single person on this planet that could possibly primary out Trump.
It's not about winning. It's about delivering a message of stunning bravery.
Right. Not about liberty.
You need to be on the right side of history.
For Bill Weld, it's not about liberty.
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to sell a book or something.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of money involved in running for president.
Yeah.
So
when we look at how we're gonna get liberty in the United States in I don't know how many years or whatnot, we like to talk about these are we gotta work on our messaging, right? We gotta get all these people to agree with us. So this is what we'll talk about, but we don't talk about how we're actually gonna implement the process of getting our message out. We do podcasts, we do Facebook arguments. I've noticed that after I don't know how many 8 years of being involved in politics, most of the time when I'm arguing with somebody on Facebook, like they're already set in their lines. But the people who vote, who have no idea what's going on, like they're not paying attention to the Mueller report, they're not paying attention to what's happening with Trump and Iran. They're just going about their busy day. So we need to actually reach out to these people, and we're not going to do it on social media. We're not going to do it online at all. Like we need to start reaching out to these people. The one thing that I've just been tasked with, I am now the volunteer coordinator for the petitioning. I think you guys were talking about it last week. We got to get 10,000 signatures in Maryland to get back on the ballot. That's the minimum. That's 10,000 valid signatures.
Yeah, valid. So it means you probably get like 15, 20.
So the goal is to get 15,000,
Yeah.
right? Now, if we pay somebody to get them, we pay them like $3 a piece. That's going to be $45,000, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that in the bank. The Libertarian Party of Maryland does not have that in the bank that just we can spend. So we're going to have to raise that money. Or we can go out there and we can knock on doors. We can stand out front of grocery stores and stuff like that and get petition signatures. What I plan on rolling out in Anne Arundel County is we have 1,900 registered Libertarian voters. So I've got them all on Google Maps, and we can start going door to door. We're saying, hey, can you sign the petition? By the way, here's some information about our local organization. Because, frankly, we get frustrated when libertarians or any organization or any movement. You have plenty of support out there, but people aren't actually showing up to your meetings. They're not actually getting engaged and getting involved. But we'd like to say, oh well, it's their fault because they're not trying. It's like, well, a lot of these people probably don't even know that we exist, right? Out of 1,900 libertarians in Anne Arundel County, I'm positive that at least 80 to 90% of them don't even know that there is an Anne Arundel County Libertarian Subcommittee, and that is not their fault. That is our fault for not reaching out to them and saying, hey, you guys need to come check us out. Mm-hmm. So in any organization or any cause, the first thing you do is you reach out to your base. So that's what I plan on doing in Anne Arundel County. We're going to reach out to those 1,900 Libertarian voters, say, hey, you guys are one of us. Like, come on in, meet other people. You're going to develop friendships with people that, I'm sure you're used to your mom and dad, your brother and your sister, your friends at work, telling you that you're crazy for your libertarian beliefs. Well, come hang out at Libations on the second Monday of every month. 6 to 8 p.m. and just eat dinner and have a few beers with some other libertarians and listen to a guest speaker. So that's my goal in Anne Arundel County. Hopefully we're going to move that out more in Maryland. But we have like more than 15. I think we have at least 15,000 registered Libertarian voters in Maryland. So if we could just get 2/3 of them to sign the petition just by reaching out to them individually, and it's what are the chances they're not going to sign the petition? Well, we'd have it in the bag. So that's my goal. That's what I'm talking about. Like when we talk about reaching out to the people, is we got to start knocking on doors. We got to start standing in front of grocery stores, wherever it is, libraries,
men's room at Arby's, or the women's room. You can, as long as you identify as a woman, I guess. Wherever you want to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got Kylie Wagner, a PRL consultant out in the field, and she does women's rooms.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Kyle Wagner.
No, Kylie Wagner.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Kyle Wagner is one of us.
When you one of us, like a dude, or?
Well, actually, I identify as a woman, so
or status.
Yeah. Sorry, 4 guys and a woman up on stage. No, Kyle Wagner's a member of the Libertarian Party of Maryland. Yeah. Not Kylie Wagner.
Actually, I don't think Kyle is.
Well, he's still a part of the party.
He's still a member. He's just
very.
He's not active.
Yeah.
He's disgruntled right now.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else on that topic? LP logistics, petitioning.
Oh goodness. Well, I'd like to talk about how we approach individuals on the street. Well, there's some people in the Libertarian Party. A couple of them are running for president, who believe that we have to explain to these people the full the full length of libertarianism and how far we want to take it.
Oh,
right?
what, to get signatures?
No. Just libertarian, the message, right?
So you're going to door to door like a fucking Jehovah's Witness. I don't know. I feel like a meme is less intrusive.
Well, I mean, after you reach out to your libertarians, then you're gonna have to go after the independent voters, and then you're gonna have to start explaining to people door to door, or in front of the store or wherever you're petitioning.
You're talking about to get signatures.
That's our first and foremost goal. That is the most important thing that we have to do in Maryland right now is get 15,000 signatures. If we can't do that, we might as well pack up the show and go home and move to Somalia.
Well, for signatures, I think it's pretty easy. You just have to explain to people that, hey, this is just so we can appear on the ballot. This isn't saying that you support us. This is just saying we can even compete.
Right.
But it's giving you another choice.
outside of petitioning, when we're actually trying to get votes and we're trying to win elections to get people elected, then we need to start talking about libertarian philosophy and our policies and where we want politics to go in America, in Maryland, and in our local jurisdictions. So when we talk about these things, like we have two approaches. We can either talk about like, okay, well, this is where we want to be, right, the libertarians, and of course that. You get online, you talk to 3 different libertarians, and they're going to start arguing with each other and who the real libertarian is, because we all have a different idea, right? So somebody might be an anarchist. Somebody saying like, well, we need no government. Somebody might be a minarchist, and they say, well, we need to limit it to, let's say, emergency services, roads, and K through 12, at the local level. I mean, there's all different
faggots.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm registered faggot. But that's I think you just hit my point on the nail, or the nail on the head. If you said that to somebody on the street, they're never going to vote libertarian, right? Especially the squares. Right.
Well, I mean,
and if you wanted to win an election, you need to talk about which direction we're going to go.
Well, yeah, like anytime
anytime
you're speaking of, like, if like basic sales, you do want to change your message depending on like who you're speaking to.
Right.
Like you don't want to talk to some like hip kid, and be all like correct and proper. There are times when you can use slang and when you can use jokes. And gauging your audience is. A skill I think required to deliver a message.
Yeah, I'd actually disagree with you on the on how you speak to individuals. I mean, this is why we have a problem with Trump, right? Because he talks at a third grade level, and it's really beneath us. And then he makes the jives, and he just comes off as an a-hole. But taking point, Terry Hurst helped his campaign in Norfolk, and he was running basically. A third of his district was the hood, if not the projects, right? So he was talking about like, well, should I dress down? Should I look more blue collar? So I kind of I look like one of the guys or whatever. I said, no. Like everybody already knows that you're blue collar. Everybody already knows that you're just a Joe Schmo at the street. That you're not some hotshot lawyer who's just an establishment Democrat, that's just going to get the position regardless. Like you need to present yourself as if you are a blue collar person who takes the candidacy seriously, and you're running, on a platform that you don't just look
right,
like
and you don't want people to think that you don't take them as serious, so you're dressing down for their appearance. I get what you're saying there.
Like keeping a bottle of hot sauce in your purse.
Well,
exactly.
Like AOC talking with like a accent.
So you go to the kids and you're like, hey, what's up, homie? Like, hey, I got this great idea. We should legalize weed. Nah, I mean, like you talk like that, and they're gonna see right through you, right? But if you say, look,
hello, fellow kids.
I don't know anybody who talks like that. Hey man, let me tell you. But if you say
Pokemon, go to the polls.
I'm doing it right now in the NAACP, and I say like, okay, we'll talk about Cummings in a minute, but when I'm talking to individuals about,
let's tell everybody. So you are actually involved in the local NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep,
yeah.
a member.
So tell us about that.
So you guys are big movie fans, obviously. There's one of the Star Trek movies. It's the one they go back in time and they save the hump. No. It's whatever. Spock, he says there's an old Vulcan proverb that only Nixon could go to China, and basically the mentality is like somebody who doesn't like another group of individuals, like that's the guy who has to go. That's the guy who has to cross over and say like, hey, let's be friends. So as a libertarian, I know that the NAACP is mostly leftist. I wouldn't necessarily say progressive, because there's a very strong Christian conservative, not in the political sense, but more in a personal sense, atmosphere. But at the same time, they're walking hand in hand with pro LGBT and socialism, the welfare for everyone, all that stuff. I see that being propagated within there. But at the same time, like we as libertarians, we talk about, well, the system is hurting the average American citizen, right? The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, not because of capitalism, but because of cronyism, right? So the greatest victims for that are the poor, especially the ones in the hood right here in Baltimore City, or in the bad places in Anne Arundel County, right? And it's disproportionately hurting the black community. Like we know that as libertarians. So we have an agreement, right? Both libertarians and black activists who are within the Democrat Party both believe that there is institutional racism. We just disagree on how the institutional racism is being played out and what's controlling
what the root cause of it is.
What the root cause is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just today, I've been going on for a few days now with a few people from the NAACP online, and I'm saying, yes, you're absolutely right. There is institutional racism, and the two biggest things that I see a problem with is the drug war, which is racist, and gun laws that prevent people from being able to carry in Baltimore City. And the gun laws, believe it or not, are Jim Crow laws.
Right.
And
Right.
so when you say that, and then all of a sudden, you can see like people start to talk to you. Right? They're not like, oh, well, you're just whitey and, you just want guns for your redneck club or whatever. Like, no, I'm saying, like, no, they're Jim Crow laws. Now I'm having dialogue.
So it's not per se how you speak to people. It's what are you talking about? Are you talking about something that they care about? Are you sort
Definitely.
of speaking their language? Not in like, you're not going in there with like an Ebonics accent.
Like speaking jive.
Yeah, you're not like, because that would be super condescending and fucked up.
Exactly.
But instead, you're just talking about issues that that they care about, which is, like you said, institutional racism, the drug war, mass incarceration,
Yep.
all the things that the black community is more so we're all affected by them, but the black community is disproportionately affected.
Yep.
I was considering setting up like a PRL tent at the synagogue, and if you could just wear a yarmulke, I feel as though that would work out well.
What?
I was gonna set up. I was gonna set up a tent at the synagogue, dude.
I got
like
that.
for
What-
outreach.
It's a stretch, dude. Try again next time.
we were actually at the Gay Pride Festival in Baltimore City over by the Baltimore Zoo last month. And I don't think I've ever had anybody stare at my ass as many times as I did that day for about 6 hours. It was.
Did you get a little bit of wood?
I'm sorry, man.
No,
I just didn't
Just
feel
a
like
little bit.
I just didn't
Yeah,
feel like
just
leaving
half
the
a chub.
tent. All
Half a
right.
chub.
But I mean, I don't know. It was kind of satisfying in a way because I really haven't got those kind of looks in a while. So I guess nobody wants to see me naked. But I went to the Gay Pride Festival and I felt like a lot of people wanted to see me naked. But we had a great time. I had a little sign that had. Straight from the LP platform, just like where the LP stands on individual rights and
Straight.
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Straight.
No, it
bigot.
didn't say that on your sign, did it?
What? No.
Okay.
But yeah, just a list of where we stand on, and people come by and they're reading it and I'm like, oh, okay, and we're just getting petition signs and trying to hand out a little bit of stuff out there, and I was doing a little dance on the sidewalk, trying to get some attention, throwing my little white butt around. Whether it worked, I don't know. But yeah, it was a great time. So, just reaching out to communities that libertarians might normally feel like, oh, well, that's a lost cause. Like, no, that's your best cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are plenty of gay dudes who are fiscally conservative, and there are also plenty of gay dudes who are libertarian. So it's I don't think it is a lost cause. I applaud your efforts.
Well, I've said this before. Like 2008, what candidate supported gay marriage? Was
None.
Ron Paul.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
so,
you
like,
the main ones. Yeah.
But we don't get the credit for, just it has to be the messaging.
Well, I mean, getting credit for being pro-LGBT
Yeah.
equal rights since 1971 when the party was founded. I mean, you want to go even further back. But
Yeah.
actually, it's weird because we have to make the distinction, and it's hard to do because you can't do it in a 10-second soundbite. But we're not pro gay marriage. We're pro getting the government out of marriage completely,
Right.
and anybody can marry anybody they want as long as they're consenting adults.
Bingo! Thank you for saying that, so I didn't have to. Ron Paul. He's actually, from my understanding, he's pretty like religious dude.
I might have worded that wrong. Yeah.
Way to go, Lee.
Yeah. I mean, he was all about like getting the
far from
government out of
perfect.
marriage. Just as you said.
Yeah.
Same sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So speaking of Baltimore, Baltimore was recently in the news because Trump essentially called out one of the representatives, I believe District 7, which covers much of West Baltimore. His name's Elijah Cummings, and Trump, in a tweet, basically said, what human being would want to live in West Baltimore? Did he say something about why are all the rat-infested places run by Democrats.
Yeah,
and
Yeah, he
things like that.
said. So his original tweet says, "Rep Elijah Cummings has been a brutal bully, shouting and screaming at the great men and women of Border Patrol about conditions at the southern border. When actually his Baltimore district is far worse and more dangerous. His district is considered the worst in the U.S."
That's racist.
Apparently so. That's racist. And I think he went on a little bit further with those tweets, but essentially it's being spun as racist, and how because he's
he said no human being would want to live there, implying that the people that live there aren't human beings. That's what people are saying.
Well, that's why there's
So-
600,000
so it's like
people
it's
living in
human racist.
Baltimore instead of 1 million.
What's that?
It's human racist.
Well, he's basically saying
It's
these people
speciesist.
aren't human beings. These
It's
people are some kind
speciesist,
of like
yeah.
vermin that are living in West Baltimore.
But
Yeah.
but here's the thing: is that there used to be 1 million people living in Baltimore City, and now there's 600,000. So maybe this is the problem. Is like, okay,
No, I mean-
Trump's a piece of shit. Yeah, he talks in code with his racist talk, from time to time. But on the other hand, like,
I don't even think he talks in. I don't think he talks in code intentionally. I don't know.
yeah, well, I mean, he talks like a 3-year-old, so I don't know. But regardless, like the tweet, when you just read it word for word, it's like, what's racist about that, and like what's factually incorrect. That's what I'm having a discussion about that right now online. Like, there's nothing that he said that's incorrect about what's going on in Baltimore. It's falling apart.
Yeah, like I believe that I live in Elijah Cummings' district, and then
Some parts of Baltimore are falling apart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
here.
I was talking about this with a friend last night,
Property values, though.
and so I believe that I live in his district, and my friend's like, "Well, aren't you bad? He's saying that about our district," and I'm thinking to myself, "No, like 2 weeks ago, there were like police helicopters flying like 20 feet above my house, searching for some motherfuckers that robbed a dollar store at the end of the street."
Right.
It's just like, yeah, I mean, it's like, there's a lot of scuzzy shit going on,
Yep.
Dude, Baltimore. I mean, we discussed this ad nauseum about Baltimore, and I think there's a lot of people rushing to defend this because they suffer because Donald Trump said it. If someone else had said it, it wouldn't be as bad. But a lot of people like to romanticize and like be nostalgic about bad things that happen in this town, and you think about it, like people, even when they're in jail, they miss some things, aspects of jail, and they romanticize it a little bit in their head because they're in the middle of it. They're surrounded by it, and
man, the anal was sure great in jail.
I don't know. I've never been. Matt, have you experienced that?
No, I'm just imagining because that's like the thing that prisons are most famous for.
Why are you imagining?
Yeah, that's what-
anal rape.
That's
dude.
what he
It's weird.
fantasizes about.
All right. Anyway, but back.
Oh man.
So, damn, you threw me off, man. All right. So, but we talked about this so much. I mean, we all have stories of crime we've seen, and literally, like this week, a Baltimore City employee who was a Muslim, he was wearing a taghi, I think is what you call it, on his head, and three young people came up behind him and like smacked it off his head, and then jumped him and then stomped it on his head till he was pretty much unconscious, and stole his car. And this was literally days ago. And then in the same news story, they talk about how, well, this is on the heels of these other 3 crimes where a woman was carjacked with her 5-week-old baby in the car, and then someone got another place like right down the street a person got carjacked and they stole their dog.
Yeah.
And it's like, and this is in the same news article in the same spot in Baltimore.
Or
It's
300 to 400 murders every year.
right. I mean, the gun violence is out of control. I mean, violence in general is out of control.
Bingo.
It's like it's ridiculous to think that anything that Donald Trump's saying is racist. No, it's the truth. And yeah, there's aspects of everyone likes to find a silver lining in places that you're stuck in.
Not everything that Donald Trump's saying is the truth.
I'm saying about this subject in particular. He said, he was like, Elijah Cummings has bled the city dry. And I mean, like, he has. I mean, he's just a career politician. How many years has he been in office?
I don't know.
I mean, I would at least say decades at this point. And he's done nothing. Baltimore hasn't really improved its conditions in everything. Like, dude, like they lie on the FBI statistics so they get ranked lower. And I mean, literally, Orkin ranks it. I think 2018, Orkin ranked Baltimore the 9th worst city in America when it comes to rats. rat infestations. I mean, like, there's things that are just out there that we see and we talk about, and you'll complain about it on your local neighborhood app, but then as soon as Donald Trump says something, everyone freaks out, like, that's not true. Baltimore's a great city. And everyone's posting their, oh, Baltimore's a great city thing on my Facebook timeline. And, like, I keep seeing post after post about it. And it's like, it's not a personal in a sense. It's just like this guy, Elijah Cummings, he's saying how horrible of a job I'm doing, but look at your job you're doing. You're not doing anything to improve your situation, your people that you're supposed to represent. So fuck you. Don't talk to me like that. And, you know, we trash Donald Trump regularly on this show. None of us here voted for Donald Trump or support Donald Trump. It's just about, like, what he said was pretty much factually accurate in my opinion. And so whatever. Elijah Cummings is a career politician, and in the state of Maryland, I guarantee you he's probably doing a lot of illegal and immoral things in power. I would assume. I mean, everyone else around town. Like, think about what's going on. The past 3 mayors have been under so much scandal. It's crazy. Like, it's not a great place to be. Like, you drive down just Martin Luther King Boulevard, the amount of heroin addicts that are out there begging for money, the squeegee kids that are coming to your car and, like, they're harassing people, and the people that come in on the dirt bikes. What's that group called? They always ride the dirt bikes to the city.
The Hells Angels?
No.
The 12 o'clock boys.
Yeah, 12 o'clock boys. I mean, there's documentaries about this show on Netflix you can watch right now about the way Baltimore is. And it's, like, we can find some great things about Baltimore. But at the same time, though, would any one of these people who are criticizing Trump for saying this about Baltimore feel comfortable walking down the street unprotected by themselves late at night?
Exactly.
It's like they would.
Or how many of those who are praising and saying, "Oh, Baltimore's a wonderful place." They live in, like, Fed Hill or Canton. They live in nice neighborhoods, you know, near the Inner Harbor, or they live
That's what my point
was
was
on the east side. They don't live in West Baltimore. They don't live in the hood. They don't live, you know, where there are all these systemic problems.
Right.
I mean, like when we had Marilyn Mosby at the Baltimore City Libertarian meeting, and she's talking about, like, look, this sucks. Like, you don't live in West Baltimore, you don't know how bad it is. And I'm sitting there, like, cheering her on, like, yeah, let's get rid of this drug war. Mm-hmm. You know, let's get these guys out of prison. Like, but, you know, so on one hand, you got Marilyn Mosby saying, like, hey, our city is falling apart because of the drug war. And on the other hand, you got Elijah Cummings say, oh no, I live in a great city. You know, Baltimore's wonderful, and how dare you, Trump? Like, okay, well, one of you actually is boots on the ground dealing with the crime that is happening.
Give her that credit.
That's literally her job as state's attorney, is to deal with this stuff. And then you have another guy who's in Washington for most of his day or most of his year, even though it's right down the street. He has no idea what's going on in his own district. It's like, dude, you have a complete disconnect from what's really going on, and that's disgusting.
Right, and it's still getting worse. I'm sure this country, because everyone's like, well, he's constantly criticized people who are of color and who represent places of color, and so connect the dots, and they're all trying to make this like just this. I mean, how many times can you call someone rasist and just
because that's all they have?
It's like, but it's not working. It's not working anymore, and it might actually be going against them.
It probably is.
I mean,
he's probably gonna get reelected. I'm
not sure of that, but like the more and more this kind of crap keeps happening, and like this Mueller report that came out, like it's nothing. Everything they're throwing at him is completely nothing, and I mean, think about the whole Russian investigation started with Donald Trump is a Russian agent, and he, you know, is Vladimir Putin's like secret boyfriend or whatever. Like that's where it started, and now it's, well, he didn't volunteer to testify. So that must mean he's guilty of something. Like that's now all they have. That's all they have in their hands. It's just like, I don't like Donald Trump, but it's just like, come on, man. Why don't you attack him for the debt? Attack him for the wars, what's going on in Yemen. Say something about that.
Well, you know, the only proven collusion in the 2016 election was between the DNC and CNN.
Right. Exactly.
And we've done nothing to either of those organizations.
Yep.
Because no one cares.
But Trump was going to put Hillary in jail, remember?
Right. Yeah, I know. That's another thing, too.
I mean, well, who knows what'll happen with this Jeffrey Epstein shit? Oh, we forgot to put that shit on the board. Oh my goodness! So how did we forgot to put? So Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
No, but Jeffrey Epstein was just attacked in prison like 2 days ago.
That's right.
Baby
Attacked.
captain.
Yeah, attacked, suicided.
he was attacked, or maybe he tried to kill himself. Who knows?
Or someone tried to make him kill himself.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting.
Speaking of meme of the week, there's a picture of like Clinton doing Bill Clinton doing his kind of like eye
shifty.
I think it was like that face you make when you find out Epstein wasn't killed.
Yeah, he survived.
Yeah. That was
good. I saw the Mises Caucus post that up, and I shared it into our group. That was definitely classic. But yeah, so going back to this thing about Donald Trump and
Hold on. I want to take a second to plug the Patreon.
do
So
it.
if you guys go to patreon.com/punk rock libertarians, you can contribute a minimum of $1 per month and you'll gain access to our after hours program. So there's that. So we have the Patreon now, and we do the after hours program right after the podcast. So if you want to get into that,
Do it.
hit us up over at Patreon. Yeah.
Sweet.
So okay,
Yeah,
what were you saying, Phil?
Well,
after I
okay, so
interrupted you?
going back to this attack on this city employee, who now they're offering, like, the ATF and FBI are getting involved now. They're offering a reward for anyone who can point out whoever did this. And
Well, like 3 kids, didn't it?
they must have been like teenagers, early 20s at the most. And dude, it's like, I'm not gonna say, like, I don't believe in necessarily on a fundamental level the hate crime thing, but I can see how this is now. I think the some Muslim group in Baltimore is now offering as well, like $1,000 reward for it, and they're saying it's a hate crime. But nowhere else is saying this is a hate crime. The main story they post, they just say a city employee was attacked. I have to address the reversal here, that if this was a bunch of white kids who did this to a Muslim man, this would be international news.
Yeah.
This would be all over CNN, all over Fox News, everywhere saying, oh, how dare you, and people would politicize it and take their sides. But now they're avoiding it because it's Baltimore, and it was a bunch of young black kids who did it. And it's not, I don't really, like I said before, like I really don't really...
There's no Vice-worthy story there, Phil.
Right, exactly. There's no clickbaity thing you could add to that. And when he boils it down to, because
No outrage.
right, yeah, there's gonna be no outrage there. But
Okay,
it's just, so like this just happened, and then Donald Trump says this, and no one's connecting those dots. This news story is gonna get washed away in the massive pile of Baltimore violent stories, that happen throughout the year. Every year, it's the same thing. Every year, the same story appears in I guarantee you, anyone who's from Baltimore, that it's, we've already broken the record for amount of murders. Like sometime in December or November, we've already broken the totals from the year before of murders.
Dude, I just saw something from like a murder from Wilmington, and it was like, oh, we got to do something about these guns. Like a bunch of people were sharing it, and I was like, oh, wait, victims. Like, because there's murders all the time in that city that I never see or hear about.
Of course.
Yeah, but it was just like, oh, that they look like us. So now I hear about.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
There's definitely an element of that that goes on.
Yeah.
Like people will be they'll talk more story about like rape stories than they would say like a man gets like murdered or like gets brutally beaten. And it's definitely, that there's a difference between those type of things where no one's really going to care about. It's only going to take maybe 15 seconds at the end of a local news broadcast for them to talk about, as opposed to something that could be like headline news.
Well, look at the Capitol Gazette shooting. They just had their like 1 or 2 year anniversary.
1 year
anniversary.
Yeah.
On the 1 year anniversary, there are dozens of articles in the newspaper. It's all over the news. You're like, oh, well, remember that one time that like 3 or 4 white people got killed?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, but 400 black people are being killed. Well, I don't know how many other community are black, but in Baltimore City, like 400 people died last year. Like, where were your dozens of articles about them? Oh, because you don't care about this poor black kid that like died in some gang violence.
Because it was probably just a handgun and it wasn't a mass shooting, and so
Right.
they don't care about it. It happened to a bunch of people who no one's ever going to care about to think or say their name ever again, if they even mention it at all, if you even know about it. Like, it's just, what the narrative is, and it's just so annoying to me. And I was really kind of like pissed off by hearing about all these people just like, Baltimore's a great city. I'm like, yeah, there's great elements to it, but there's also a huge underbelly that you talk about to me in person of how awful it is. That's why you moved away to Denver, and you're not here now, and you still have your house in Hampton that you're letting people that you're renting out to people. Like,
Yeah,
shut up. Like, that's one of my friends who posted that. I'm like, you're so full of shit, dude.
Yeah, like if you drive around downtown, you run into like city blocks where there's like 10 row houses, right? And then 7 of them are boarded up.
Yeah, that's sad.
And they're probably run down, and there's probably water running through them and then leaking into the houses that are still there that people are trying to live in. And it's a pretty depressing scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always love playing
Especially
in
when
Baltimore.
it's square block. It's block after block after block.
Oh,
It's not just like, oh, well, there's just this one block. It's just square acres
Yeah.
of that kind of. It's depressing.
Yeah, I told this story before, but like going down like Wilkins Avenue right before the last election, there was these whole townhomes completely boarded up on the one block, and someone had put up a big sign across like 2 or 3 of the entire. This is how big this was in front of the row homes, and it said "Vote Democrat."
Right, because they've
And I'm
done
like,
such
oh
a
my
good
God.
job for the last 50 years, right?
Right, and like look around you, like this whole block is like half emptied out because burned out homes, and they put up on the burnt out vacant homes "Vote Democrat."
Yeah.
Like, that's where we've been.
Yep.
Sorry, Lee, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's good. I was just saying, like, I've always loved playing Baltimore. The kids are always fun and, like, come out to shows mad early, at least when I've played. But, like, I'm not going to say I wasn't a little bit nervous getting to the venues. You know what I mean? Like, driving there.
It definitely can
So
be.
a couple times, yeah.
All right. So there's a news story that you wanted to talk about, Matt, and that was Kanye West wants Danny McBride to play him in his biopic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I thought that was totally hilarious.
Kanye's awesome.
You know, because right now you've got, I don't know. I feel like you've got this this fake news. Like people are so triggered because there's going to be a black Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is fake news because I've seen more people complain about people being triggered than I have seen people
Yep.
actually triggered.
Right.
And then, but then for Kanye West to say that he wants a goofy white guy to play him for his biopic, I think it's pretty hilarious. I like Danny McBride, so
Yeah.
I would want to go to watch that.
Yeah. Kanye's very good at kind of pushing people's buttons for sure.
Yeah.
He's a great, almost unintentional troll at times. I mean, he might legitimately want Danny McBride to play him because he loves Danny McBride.
I mean,
like he might not
who
even be
wouldn't?
thinking like this would be weird. Like he's just like, yeah,
I don't know.
why not, dude?
Yeah. I think it's pretty amazing. I think it's pretty fucking hilarious.
All right. Well, that was a quick hitter there.
I had to Google Danny McBride.
Yeah,
He's the guy from
Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and Down, Pineapple Express. Many funny pictures.
Okay, so
He's
Phil,
been in.
so the next one is somebody from the Baltimore Police Department got attacked.
That's who we were just
He
talking
just talked
about.
about that.
okay.
Dude.
Yeah, he was this
Okay,
employee.
So are we all through the topics?
I think. Wait, did we talk about Rand and Iran?
No, we didn't talk
No,
about that.
no, we
All right,
didn't.
let's circle back.
Yeah, circle back the wagons, Jer Bear.
Well, I think David was talking about that one. Was that you brought that up?
Well, I mean, I don't know a little bit about it. I know. I think you guys were talking about it last week. That
Yeah, I believe Rand and Trump were going to play golf, and
Yeah.
Rand was just like, "Hey, why don't you make me like ambassador to Iran or some shit?"
yeah,
You know?
and they were out
And-
with
Yeah, to prevent some war. You know,
Weren't they also talking
Lindsey
shit
Graham.
on Lindsey Graham while they
Yeah.
were out?
Yeah, they're pretty much trashing him every time he go like to take a shot. Like they would just sit there and chuckle back. Him, Rand Paul, and Donald Trump was like, "God damn, this guy! He always wants to go to war with everybody, just making fun of him apparently." And so
Yeah.
he's agreed to be his an emissary to go in between him and Iran.
Oh, sorry, I just thought of something. Speaking of Rand, he got in trouble for being the lone. Oh, I guess we did talk about this last week.
No, he
But
wasn't.
he was alone. He was one of 2 people that did not vote for the 9/11
Yeah,
relief
that-
fund
pay
or
for
whatever.
it.
technically no. Like all he asked was for an amendment,
yeah.
and that like basically because they were asking for unanimous consent, and he
Yeah.
asked, and so he wanted to make an amendment. So that's what threw the monkey in the wrench.
Right.
So it's not like he voted against it. He just he was just wanted to put an amendment in, and that's what threw everything out. And it was him and Mike Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But didn't he end up voting no on the final bill as well?
I assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think him and Mike Lee weren't the only 2 that voted. I could be wrong. Yeah,
I thought that's what I heard.
I could be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I had some liberal friends who were pretty triggered by that.
Oh yeah.
And my thought was, the thing was, if Rand was was consistent. I mean, I think he has principles, but I don't think he applies them consistently. So it's always
Well,
weird.
he picks his battles.
But I mean, is this really a battle is this really a battle you want to fight? Like
I think so.
out of all the things that the government pays for.
Well, it's not like he
steals-
filibustered for 13 hours. You
What's
know.
that? Well, true. And I'm not saying like I said, like he does do some cool stuff. He does,
Yeah, well, I mean,
like stuff like what is it? Civil asset forfeiture. He will do filibusters and whatnot. But
well,
it just seems like this.
Well, dude, it sounds like this bill was like a blank check.
Yeah, a
It
forever
was,
blank
yeah.
check.
There was a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
bad
and I'm not
stuff in
saying,
it, yeah.
and I'm not saying that it wasn't a libertarian move. It just seems weird that I've seen it. He's voted for other things. He's voted to fund other things, but yet this thing he decides. It just seemed like a weird move.
I think
I'm
it
not
It's a little odd. Too.
yeah.
Like, I agree with him.
like
but
it just seems
kind
like
of.
bad optics. You know.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this kind of lately about the whole, Amash, Massey and Rand Paul type of
Mike
deal.
Lee.
Like, not even with so much. Well, yeah, with Mike Lee too. Like, I'm just thinking about how like the interactions with Trump. It's like, I think like Amash was like, if it was like a circle of people and like we're sitting here now, one of his people is just like Amash, and Amash is like, fuck him, I'm done with him, I can't put up with this shit. Screw him. So you know what, cool, whatever, you do this shit, I'm just gonna be completely against you, whatever. Where like Rand's like, no, look, come on, we can work them. We've had worse in office. Like, I think I can maybe whisper. Come on, man. Like, don't give up. Like, I can still kind of whisper his ear. Yeah, I'll sacrifice some things here and there. And whereas Massey's just like, whatever, I'm just gonna sit back a little bit and then just whatever. Whatever, man. Like I can't go against them. It's almost like it's like a group of people, like that whole type of interaction of friends. And I think there's a lot of things. Rand's like, look, I got to work this system. Like, I have to work it. Like, I have to pick my battles.
Yep.
And I'm known for being the fiscally conservative person in this whole group of people. Like, I'm known. So I'm gonna take a stand where I can show that. Maybe if it's like a weak position, like Arvin was talking about, where it was like he was making a stance where it's clear that, hey, look, I'm going to be the lone person to vote against it because I know it's going to.
So it's not going.
Pass.
It's going to pass regardless. I might as well just make a principled stand, which is also sort of like Weasley, because it's like, are you going to make a principled stand when it's like the swing vote and it's going to piss your party off, or are you just going to make the principled stand when it's like?
I believe he's done
might.
that too.
I think they might.
What's that?
Well, no, not Rand, but I mean, because in the Senate, Republicans control it, so it's not like 50-50. But in Congress, I'm pretty sure that like Massey and Amash have done that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not shitting on Massey. I'm talking specifically about Rand.
Oh. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't have that kind of pressure, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I have my 9-to-5 maintenance worker job, and then on the weekends I come and bullshit on a podcast. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have, like, all of that I have to deal with. He's got to deal with his district. Well, I mean, his state, I guess. He's got to deal with everybody back at his state. He's got to deal with the Liberty Movement screaming at him. He's got to deal with the Tea Party screaming at him. He's got to deal with the establishment screaming at him. Then he's up in D.C., and he's got all these people he's got to work with. He has to work with Trump, trying to go to Iran.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like
that we don't have another war with a country that's like 4 times bigger than Iraq, and like hates us. Like,
I mean, look, he's definitely
hated us since 1953. Like, that's a lot, man. So I'm gonna give him a lot of space.
That's fair. I mean, and
I'm not saying he's a libertarian.
He's definitely at least like top 5 of like anybody in government right now.
Yeah, I mean, like
on that level.
You want to name a more libertarian U.S. senator? Go right ahead. But I mean, while we have him there, like, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't like how you voted on this or whatever, and we can say, hey, Rand, you made a bad call in there. But like, in all, like, I'm still gonna say, like, you're a decent human being. Like, you're not. I wouldn't call him a libertarian. Maybe like conservatarian or whatever term you want to make up.
Liberty-minded Republican.
Right. He's clearly not his father.
Yeah,
both in his style and in his political views, but at least I know that deep down inside, I mean, he's a good man.
I think his philosophy might be close to his dad's. I always wonder like how he executes it sometimes.
Well, yeah. I think that's their difference of opinion and how they execute it. And Rand does get a certain result in that he was actually playing. Was Ron Paul ever playing golf with the president? You get him to become like ambassador to some country and possibly prevent a war.
Right.
So there is something about Rand's strategy that seems to be working some. So yeah, I give him props.
Yeah,
I like him.
or at least we can hope.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The first time I heard Rand Paul, it was I think it was during like 2008 when Ron Paul was running, and it was he was just speaking someplace for his dad, and I'm like, whoa, Ron Paul has a son, and this guy, and then he was a better speaker than his dad was, because Ron Paul, he had a great message, but he just wasn't the best speaker,
I don't know. I liked his speeches.
I'm just saying he wasn't the best speaker. And then Rand, though, he actually impressed me the first time I saw him make a speech before he was ever in politics. So, Yeah, he's been definitely doing some things. He's managed to get himself elected and reelected, and hopefully prevent a war with Iran.
Pretty cool.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think that's probably about it for tonight. And I'd like to remind you guys we have T-shirts over at libertariancountry.com. If you type in the code PRL or the code PRL Podcast, you will receive a 10% discount. Also, if you could rate us or review us on like iTunes, that would be amazing. Maybe you want to help out, but you're strapped for cash. If you could go and give us a review on iTunes, that would be awesome. That would help us out tremendously. And until next time, live free
or die.